Welcome everyone. I'm I'm admin one of EVRYFX, and today I'm doing a total Carnage listen through of a track by a noted local EVRYFX tribute band called EVRYFX, starring Eddie Dingle, or as we might say, Eddie Dingle, and Windbreaker, a very prominent marathon community member. They made a track very recently called Bikegeist, which is a play on a term that I coined, the concept that I coined called Bikegeist, about our contemporary and yet also perennial world historical situation. And I feel mild trepidation because I get the sense that I've been zinged for this one, but we'll see what happens. I'm sure I'll still get a kick out of it, and knowing what I know about their sound over the years, I'm sure it'll be very potent. And will have very insightful lyrics, especially given that, judging by the title, it's based off of stuff that I've coined. So of course it'll be insightful. Got my Irish cream to begin. I've actually already drank a couple glasses of it, but this is the last hurrah for the night, and it seems appropriate to drink it in sync with the tune. As we see here, this was uploaded February 5th, so just yesterday. Upload full screen, and I'll give you my general impressions. I might stop and pause at a few moments to give commentary on what I've just heard, so as to not fall behind, because I know, given the pedigree of Windbreaker and Eddie Dingle, that this will have many gems moment to moment that I won't be able to properly commentate on in time. Although there's no really doing any verbal justice to what they do anyway. But let's go to full screen here, because I know there will be very compelling visuals. 3, 2, 1, the Bikegeist. Wait a minute. Right off the bat, that noise at the beginning, the rhythm. I'm chewing ice, sorry. Have this on crushed ice. Lovely. So that rhythm, it sounds like it's played on a bike. Like they took a drumstick, probably a Windbreaker, because I know he plays drums, and played it on a bike in a certain rhythm, which is not identical, but very similar to the type of clapping rhythm that you find in a lot of sports games. They'll do like, but this adds an extra hit. So already, we're fully into the bike theme, the Bikegeist as it were. Let's hear that again. And then a moment of subversion as it then cuts into a different kind of plodding rock beat that's at odds with it, tempo-wise and rhythm-wise. So it's a motif that we might find later on. Let's hear that back from the beginning once more. It's wonderful. Just the rhythm, the reverb, and of course doing what I know about Windbreaker's drum prowess, having listened to a good amount of Windbreaker core, both recording-wise and live, since I've been to a few of the concerts he's played in. Okay. Sounds very heavy and grandiose. Share it one more time.
I come to you with news of a conspiracy against me, the likes of which you've never seen before.
So, I believe that's Eddie Dingle, or should I say Eddie Dingle, talking, giving the introductory news report, bringing a special report, conspiracy against him. And that's quite pertinent because, as I understand it, this is based upon the concept that I termed the Bikegeist, which is indeed predicated against being as such. So, by extension, it would be against someone like Eddie Dingle, who is a phenomenon unto himself. Let's hear it back again.
I come to you with news of a conspiracy against me, the likes of which you've never seen before.
Cool visuals, by the way. But is that something of a reference to Trump? Given that he's very prone to not only the kind of persecution complex, but seeing that kind of expression, something that we've never seen before, is all about scale. So, Eddie Dingle, or should I say Eddie Dingle, is saying this. Is that in reference to Trump? Or something that he's saying just for himself in a way that is actually applicable? We'll find out. Let's listen again.
I come to you with news of a conspiracy against me, the likes of which you've never seen before.
The anti-disestablishment and terrorism of further transgressions elucidate various ill-informed minutiae of sought-after prominence. Rhode Island, by which an amalgamation of the...
You're making fun of me, aren't you? Is this an actual excerpt from one of my essays? Because if so, I don't believe I remember it, but actually no. Maybe it's an extrapolation from the actual content of my essays. Some of my essays. Eddie Dingle, or should I say Eddie Dingle, innately understands this and has applied this to his own experience. He's been able to somehow apply it to the experience of getting his bike stolen. And then what's with these visuals? This here, you see, obviously it's a flip mirror image when I'm pointing, but you can see in the picture next to the news reporter, who's presumably Eddie Dingle, that art. Firstly, there's seemingly pixelated, censored nipples. But, more to the point, what's with the head? Why is it kind of roughly diamond shaped, but with curved ends? Why is that one eye look like something between the peace symbol and a gear, like you would see in a machine? And then what's that cropping out this individual's head? It looks something like plants, like almost Venus flytraps, but then at the same time, maybe like a crude representation of sperm. It would be too out of line from the general visual themes of EVRYFX's videos. Took in too much ice, but though I won't go back to the very beginning of the video, let's backtrack a little bit, fiat CM, and listen to Eddie Dingle's words. Well, first of all, let's see if there are actual lyrical transcriptions, because I was only able to make out so many of the words. I see here in the description it says, "Sustain me with your love juice." And there was a comment that doesn't seem to include the lyrics. Well, I might as well ask what the lyrics are. Almighty Eddie Dingle, may we please have lyrical transcriptions? We need to know definitively every profound word. I should do it. At least I can say I tried. Okay, but nonetheless, in the meantime, let's backtrack and see if we can make out what Eddie Dingle is saying.
The anti-disestablishment and terrorism of...
The empire of establishment of tyrannism.
Further transgressions elucidate various ill-informed minutiae of sought-after prominence. Rhode Island, by which an amalgamation of the inner circle and intermittent modality of the Bikegeist for the foreseeable future is further sustained from the growth and/or amelioration of lesser-known whims of the larger...
Oh, there we go. There's the spooky illustration once again. So it's tying everything together thematically. We don't see it first when we watch individual videos, but Erdy Jingle, and for that matter, I imagine Windbreaker, they are playing 5D chess, which is a step ahead of 4D chess and also pertinent to Marathon. That's why I say it, because they knew all along that something like the video in which this spooky illustration was first featured would play into the, shall we say, full story arc of the Erdy Jingle story, the EVRYFX, what's the word? Odyssey, if you will. The drama, the live, ongoing, ever-evolving performance art.
Body of the Bikegeist have proven themselves otherwise to be known as obsequious servants within the larger thunderdome of the ever-expanding and ever-contracting member of the Bikegeist, and impartial subjects who convey bifurcated senescence of the selectively permeated.
What's with this face? This drawing? I saw it overlaid against this before in a faded form. But is that a drawing of something? Is it a drawing of Erdy Jingle, of Spooky, of Windbreaker, of perhaps me? In the last case, it would probably be a rather inadvertent face I made at some point during a marathon playthrough. It doesn't look like me, as I understand it, but then again, the Spooky illustration doesn't quite look like Spooky to my mind, even though, upon looking at it for the first time, I could tell it was a representation of Spooky sleeping. I'm not even 1/3 of the way. Getting deep in. Okay, let's watch from a backtrack a little bit.
Themselves otherwise to be known as obsequious servants within the lair.
Wait, let's see if I can track what he's saying here. Let's start from the beginning and I'll try to piece together what I can. You know, maybe my comprehension of this will be kind of akin to like a stroboscopic view, or like you're running past a fence and you're able to see through the holes of the fence and kind of make out a big picture of what's happening because you're running past fast enough. It's kind of like that, I think. I need to kind of absorb everything in one fell swoop in terms of the words he's saying. So I might get some kind of impression until the point where hopefully I can get the lyrical transcriptions. Okay.
The anti-disestablishmentarianism of further transgressions elucidate various ill-informed minutiae of sought-after prominence. Rhode Island, by which an amalgamation of the inner circle and intermittent modality of the Bikegeist for the foreseeable future, further sustained from the growth and/or amelioration of lesser-known limbs of the larger body of the Bikegeist, have proven themselves otherwise to be known as obsequious servants within the larger thunderdome of the ever-expanding and ever-contracting member of the Bikegeist, and impartial subjects who convey bifurcated senescence of the selectively permeated.
See, I really need to break this down, because the deeper in I get, the harder it gets, but have I ever said ever expanding, ever contracting? I don't believe so. While we're at it though, let's actually comment on the instrumentation of this, because we've been very caught up in the cinematics of this whole ordeal, in the lyrics, in the visuals, how they interconnect. But think about the way this track built up, alright? After the initial bike banging intro and the plodding beat, we had a pretty regular, casual two-chord affair, but one that was driven by the words and kind of driving towards this climax, which we get here upon the introduction, or I should say the full introduction of this kind of yelling face, which was previously only a faded overlay.
Bikegeist, and impartial subjects who convey bifurcated senescence of the selectively permeated.
And here we have again climax, but at the same time a different kind of general two-chord pattern, at least so far. Maybe it's too early to really say. I know enough at this point that two-chord pattern has been repeated, and it is more descending but from a higher place. So these parts are all pulling towards a general tonal center, and already in the meantime we're getting more visual clues. This is fading into a visual from the previous video of what was initially intended to be the very last EVRYFX piece and video. We see the faded overlay of the bike, and it looks like this here is the Bikegeist as part of the story, the Bikegeist. And I believe behind is Emily, who's along for the ride, right? It's like a tandem bike, but front to back rather than side to side per se, I believe. Okay. And this is also interesting because, see, there's that kind of seemingly absurdist, possibly deformed cherubic character that you saw in Minifold, the very first EVRYFX video. Although in that case, I believe it was just the head with wings. Here, that cherubic figure with oddly shaped head has a regular human body. It appears to be shooting an arrow. So that implies a kind of cupidic form. Maybe it implies that the cherub had charmed this couple here, the Bikegeist and Emily, to be together, which would further imply that, at least in the Jingle universe, any relationship that Emily enters into that isn't with Jingle himself is unnatural, is purely according to the whims of some outside, often unseen force. And here I can kind of make out what's being said to an extent, but it's distorted a bit by what seems to be kind of a washing effect over the vocals. And here again is the close-up of that strange face of the kind of gear face, or come to think of it, it's more like it's a pattern within an eye. Like it seems like it's one eye with what appear to be like flowers or perhaps smaller gears. And then again, that thing that looks like something between a gear and a peace symbol. And would that have something to say about the general manufacturedness of a lot of culturally propounded peace and love sentiment? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it pertains to the Bikegeist, or I should say the Bikegeist, but I might just find out at some point.
Conventional conservation of my matrimonial bliss by which my forbearance and abstinence can obtain further spread of the transcendental proposal.
And see there, the nipples show uncensored for a moment, and then the blurring happens on them, even though we can clearly see it for just a second before. What does that say?
Release of my propagatory genetic information by means of my solidified member to continue the onward march to the United Federation of Planets. The Bikegeist manifests itself, defined as an interpolation of the intermediate education of litigated and uninitiated shortfalls under the
Wait, what is happening here? What's with these serial numbers? And what's with this figure of a person who seems superficially, at least, to resemble the person he's on top of, being on top of that person? Because he appears to be at chest height with this other person who appears to be shocked, scared, generally distressed. Maybe there's some hint in the words. There's the bike, or the edge of the bike right here. So there's a diagram representation, I suppose, to at least some of what Dingle is saying. But then, what do you make of this? Well, it looks like a pregnant human.
The Bikegeist manifests itself, defined as an interpolation of the intermediate education of litigated and uninitiated shortfalls under the
I really like the way this is progressing, because each individual part on the surface seems very simple, which in a way unto itself it is. They use generally simple chord progressions, but they fit together in a very unusual way, and there's a general arc pulling towards a climax, which we hear about here, where it focuses more or less on one chord, but with a lot of lead overlays. They definitely did their EVRYFX homework, so to speak, in terms of how to progress a part both individually and set together in an arc. There's much to analyzing here for days. EVRYFX know what they're doing. I endorse them. And if I am indeed zinged, I'm too drunk to fully notice or care. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching and listening. Looking and listening. I hope to see and hear more from EVRYFX in the future, because they're visionaries. And I appreciate their ongoing tribute to me and my work. I feel like I could learn a lot from them. And I'm done drinking for the night, that's for sure. This has been Admin 1 of EVRYFX, doing a total Carnage listen through and reaction for Bikegeist by EVRYFX. And I enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Bye.